Good morning to the followers of Star TV and also those following the Star TV program on Facebook Live. Today is on the 29th of June 2024. Our topic of discussions today will be the impact of FGM. As we all know, FGM is really a concern in the Gambia, but people have different perspectives and different views when it comes to FGM. And as a democrat state, everyone's opinion is to be respected. But some people speak based on no reasons, some people speak based on reference. As we know, we are a country that is governed by law, and there are documents that stated certain things. Some individuals also said some things. But what matters is, at the end of the day, we will all rely on the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. Today, as you can see, I have a very rich panel. On my right, that is Dr. Ja. In blues, as you know, he's a well-known doctor in this country. He's not, in fact, interested in fashion dress. All the coverages that I cover where he is, 90% of them is he dressed in this manner because he's always action-oriented. He's always service-oriented. So that is why you can see him on my right. On my left, I have Kausu Bojang. Kausu Bojang is from the legal department. As we know, these things requires a lot of legal advice because many are taking the law into their hands, and it's really risky for one to take the law into your hand. Whatsoever the case may be, one should be very professional and uphold the law of the land. On my far left, you have Madam Ajwa, who is from Gamco Trap. As we know, Gamco Trap is among the NGOs that are also trying to fight against this FGM, not based on their individual interests, but based on the documents that stated about the ban of FGM. They are not using it based on their special mind. They are using it based on the Constitution. So let me give them the floor to welcome them on board. Dr. Ja, you are welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm very honored and delighted to be here. This is my first time in Star TV. And I can see that it's a very friendly environment. So thank you very much for having me on the program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jack. Kausu Bojang, you are welcome to Star TV.
Thank you very much, Star TV and the members of the panel. I am delighted to be in this panel, and I am here to represent Senior Counsel Elkim Boj to speak on the topic of FGM, especially on the issue of the anti-FGM group.
Madam Ajwa, you are welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mike. Good morning, my name is Ajwa K. Stevens, and I'm an M&E officer from Gamco Trap, and as most of you know, we have been on the fight from the start. As a matter of fact, the case that came up emanated from Gamco Trap's work, and we have been on the fight more than 40 years now, and we are still going to until we see zero FGM in the Gambia.
Thank you very much, Madam Ajwa. We just hope if the fight continues, because they say it's only determination that makes you win something. I believe the more you are determined and connected to the lawmakers and connected to the Constitution, there is possibility that you can be successful in your fight. So the areas we are to address today are just few, because there are a lot of it, but we select the most sensitive ones or the important ones to talk about. Having them in the platform, they are experts on their area. We are avoiding speculations, because this is a program that many might be following, and whatever they might have on TV, even if it's wrong or right, they will take it as the right thing. So it is our responsibility to relay the accurate and the correct message to the general public to avoid misinforming the general public. Among the areas will be the perception of FGM, the impact of FGM on women and girls, the current FGM situation in the Gambia, holding the lawmakers accountable, who are the National Assembly members, the implications of repealing the law on women and girls and the Gambia, as we are signatory to the International Convention. And in conclusion, there will be a message that will be relayed to the pro-FGM and the rest of the general public. Just to refresh your memory and give you a quick reminder, as we all know, in 2015, the Gambia passed a law banning the practice of FGM in the Gambia. The law is known as the Women's Amendment Act 2015. The law makes it illegal to conduct female genital mutilation, FGM, on women and girls in the Gambia. It doesn't also stop there. It is broad. They bring a demarcation on the law. Among them is saying it carries a practice and a penalty of up to 3 years in prison and or a fine for those who perform female genital mutilation, FGM. It still makes the law wide and going further to say not only to be practiced in the Gambia, but the law also includes to say the law also prohibits the transportation of a person for the purpose of female genital mutilation, FGM, even if the act is placed outside the Gambia. This is aimed to prevent Gambians from sending their daughters abroad to undergo the procedure. So as you can see, the law is very broad and it specifies. So these are the areas that these people used as tools to make sure they talk about it. To start with, the perception. As we know, the Gambia government adopted a national strategic plan, policy, for 2022 to 2026 to the end the practice of FGM, female genital mutilation, in the country by 2030. Doctor, this is what the government knew, but your individual perception on the FGM.
Okay, thank you very much. FGM, I usually say, is a very difficult topic to talk about.
Sure.
Because it involves the female genitals, and it is taboo to talk about these things. It is difficult to sit on the TV and start showing pictures of female genitals so that people can understand what it entails. And because of that, anything that is shrouded in mystery, there is always a possibility for misunderstanding.
Yes.
People don't usually understand what it is because it is shrouded in mystery. And many men today who are pro-FGM or talk about FGM, if you were to ask them to tell you what the female genital entails, they will not understand it. They will not be able to know what is where. Where is the part that has the sensation? Where is the part that the urine comes out from? Where is the part that the sperm enters? I mean, the whole function, they don't understand it. And they find it easy to sit down and talk about things. And that is why wherever I'm talking about FGM, what I try to do is to make people understand what these are in the most appropriate way. On the TV, there is no way. When we talk to the parliamentarians, we did give them vivid pictures because these are adults on TV. Everybody watches TV, so there are some pictures you cannot show. And they were able to understand, those of them who attended on that session, what it really entails. So from our side, what we need to do is to explain what female genital mutilation is. So people understand why it is called a mutilation, people understand why it is harmful, so that when they are talking about it, they will understand why there is a law against this. The law did not just come about on its own. The law came about because there was a lot of research that was done, there was a lot of talking that was done, and a law came in to say that we cannot do it. And it's not only Gambia that has a law against this. There are many, many countries that have laws against this. So today, what I want to do is I want to give a little demonstration just to add to the understanding of people on what female genital mutilation is and how different it is from what we call circumcision in males. Because many people, that is what they equate it to. And they are not, you cannot equate them. They are two different things. They are very different things. And that is what I want to make clear in this presentation today. So I've brought some fruits with me just to show you. So, you know, if I were to tell you just to bite this now and eat it, would you want to do that?
No, I won't, because
you
I
would
prefer to peel it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I would like you to just peel it halfway for me.
All right.
Just halfway with it. Yes, that way. Good. So now if I were to tell you to eat it, you can eat it. Now it's ready for eating.
Yes.
In the male,
Yes.
if I give you a pair of scissors
Yes.
and I tell you to cut off I'll cut off one piece. So
Yes.
this is one piece.
Yes.
Cut off. You
Yes.
cut off. We have 3 people here. You
Yes.
each cut off one piece.
Yes.
Very easy to do.
Yes.
Yes.
You can also have it as you can feel the scissor also, but not to cut and eat. Just for you to yes, just for you to feel it. Yes, have the feeling, not to cut and eat. Yes.
Good.
Correct.
So if you look at this now, it is
Yes.
exactly
Yes.
what is done in circumcision.
Correct.
Okay, in the male.
Yes.
This is what is done in circumcision.
That's true.
Now, in the female, it is an entirely different thing,
Very
and
well.
it is more of maybe this apple here.
Correct.
Now, if this apple is clean, is washed. If I were to tell you to bite it and eat it now,
Yes.
I'm sure you'll be happy to
Yeah,
do
I'll
that.
be comfortable
You'll be very
because it's
comfortable
clean, yes.
Because it's clean.
Yes.
And if I were to tell you to peel off this skin,
Yes.
how easy is it to peel off this skin without touching the inside of the apple?
It will be difficult because even by peeling, I will carry along some of the best part of it,
Exactly,
and this
from
is
the
the
best
among
part
the
of
best fruit that I love.
Exactly. So
Yes.
now, if I were to try to peel it off and just get the skin, it is really a difficult thing. And
Very
now I
well.
have gone very deep inside there.
Very well,
Maybe
very
you
well.
can each give it a try also.
Yes.
Because
Yes, not to peel and taste.
not to peel and
Yes,
taste,
but just to have the feeling because
Yes,
this
yes.
is among my favorite, fruits that I always enjoy, buying. Yes. You are trying to create it deep so that I can tell you to take that bite, but don't mind. Yes, it's just for the purpose of demonstration, for the viewers to kindly understand exactly what we are trying to talk about. Yes.
You tried a lot. You
Yeah,
tried
yes,
a lot.
yes,
Okay?
he tried a lot because,
you tried.
Yeah, I know
Be
she will
careful
try
about
harder
that.
to make
Yes,
sure to prove
make
some
it,
points.
yes,
Yes.
yes, because females are very tender.
Exactly, so.
They know how to use their hands.
Very well.
But you see, this is what it is. Number one, what I'm trying to say is that in the male, circumcision is necessary. It is good. It has a lot of benefits.
Very
we know
well.
that.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
In the female, number one, it is not necessary. I can eat this apple just
Very
like
well.
this. In fact,
Yes.
I can eat it just like that now.
Yes,
I
no
can
worry.
eat a piece.
Very well.
But if I try to peel it now,
Yes.
it is very difficult.
Sure.
Doing a circumcision is relatively much easier. Doing a female cut is much more difficult
Sure.
because the skin is so tightly
Very well.
fixed to the rest, which is very important.
Exactly.
In this apple, if we were just to take this apple as an example, one of the most useful parts of this apple is actually this peel.
Sure.
In this here now, you have vitamin C here, a big concentration of vitamin C. You have a big concentration of vitamin K. You have a big concentration of something we call roughage, which is very important for your digestion. And therefore, peeling it reduces the usefulness
Sure.
of this of this apple. So therefore, if I peel it and I go deep, then I'm mutilating
Very well.
this apple because I'm doing something that is unnecessary and I'm causing harm at the same time. And to me, this is a very close representation of what female genital mutilation is. There is no, if you take the equivalence of the glands of the head of the male genitalia,
Sure.
there is no, among the 4 circumcisions that is being done, there is none of them that doesn't cut just like this straight away.
Sure.
So it cuts the head.
Sure.
In the male, you don't cut the head, you just remove the peel.
Sure.
In the female, it's very difficult
Very
to
well.
remove the peel, and therefore all the 4 types that have been described all over the world, the clitoris, which is the equivalence of the head, is removed, which is very important for sensation in the female. And because of the scarring that is occurring, because the area is not the same, the cutting is not the same, then it causes a lot of harm. I am just hoping that this demonstration
Sure.
gives people an indication that it is different. The two are very different. Males and females are very different. In males, doing a circumcision may be useful. In females, doing any form of cutting is likely to be harmful.
Yes.
And why I put it like this also is to prevent people thinking that it's something that we can medicalize.
Exactly.
Because it is very, very difficult to medicalize it, and we have more important things that we need to focus as medical practitioners
Very well.
than trying to do something that is useless to the female.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Doctor. You spoke well and went further of making a demonstration for the benefit of those following the program and those viewing the program. We are not just here to just talk and go, but this is why I said I am being flanked by experts because this is a new idea also that I learned from him, and I also believe those of you following and watching also is a new idea that you want. He spoke well about it, and he also explained everything about. But Mr. Bojang, to come to you, I can see that since the law was put in place since 2015, it was almost 7 to 8 years that is only one action that is done. Since 2015, it is only 3 people who were prosecuted based on practicing FGM, and they were known. That is why the controversy comes. And now, the Gambia, the current situation of FGM, you cannot underestimate it. Yeah. People have different perspective, different view. As someone who is legally oriented, what is your take on this thing and how people are acting on the current situation of FGM? What will be your advice and your take as a legal personnel?
So basically, thank you very much.
Yes.
I would want to reconstruct and then take it from where Dr. stopped. The issue of FGM law is not just established or enacted out of a blue moon.
Thank you.
It was enacted because of the adverse effect that were discovered by the medical experts, and as well as the reports given by the United Nations and on the elimination of FGM, and as well as the African Charter. So basically, the Women's Act 2010, and as it was amended in 2015 to include the issue of criminalizing FGM, the practice of FGM, because the practice of FGM is cruel, is inhumane, and the act is degrading treatment on the side of the women. Considering the fact that if this particular act is exclusively on the women, then it can be said that it is discriminatory, and as well as it has all forms of discrimination as against the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination on the Women. So basically, again, FGM law was not just established. It drew inspiration from the international conventions. We have the Convention on the Right of Children. We have the Convention on the Elimination of All Discrimination Against Women. We also have the Universal Declaration on Human and People's Rights. So you realize that also we have the customary laws that are applicable in the Gambia. However, the law stated that the act of doing customary law must be in line with the natural justice of the land, equity and good conscience. That says that any customary act that is to be acceptable in the Gambia must not be adversely affected or effective on anybody, especially women and children. So herein, it was reported by the medical expert, and as well as the report made by United Nations and the African Charter, that the act of FGM is discriminatory, is inhumane, and it causes physical and mental effect on women and children. That is why the Children's Act has been adopted, and as well as the Women's Act also adopted because of the convention. And the law basically was enacted to stop the act, because the act itself, looking at the circumstances of it, was causing death, was causing so many scientific implications, which doctor has established here. That is the scientific area, which I may not be able to have expert knowledge on it. However, on the legal part, it was based on those circumstances, and as well as the Islamic circumstances, and as well as the customary circumstances. That is where the world decided that, okay, this act is inhumane on women and children. So therefore, we have to decriminalize it. Now, the problem we have in the Gambia is enforcement of laws. Yes. That is why it was, since the enactment, it is just recently that the thing exploded. Yes. Everybody is talking about FGM law.
Yeah, it happens when a National Assembly member in February raised for the law to be at least changed. Yes. That's where most of this noise came from.
Yes. Yes. The act has been happening, even though there was an established law, but it was never brought to the attention of the authorities to enforce it. Okay. Because it is believed, or there is this belief given to the female, and as well as the children, and even the men, that this act should be done in secret, and guys should not, men in general, should not know anything regarding the act itself. And the female, especially the young girls, under the age of 18, and as well as some women, would be told that this act has been done by our previous generation. So therefore, nothing happened to them. It doesn't mean that if something doesn't happen to someone, then that thing will not have caused adverse effect on you. So the fact that it is said that anything that may occasion an effect on you, whether it is physical torture, insecurity, or other act that is inhuman, then the act must be prevented. So that is, as a result, that is why the law decided to have this law, the act, to be criminalized. So the practice itself, we all know the adverse effect, because the adverse effect greatly harm the young female, and as well as the women itself, especially when they get married. Sometimes they have complications in giving birth. So those are all circumstances that were put into consideration to say that, you know what, we have to put a stop to this. And how do we put a stop to this? Is to provide laws, because laws are prepared basically to put a stop to things that would adversely affect our national security, our interests, that is the interest of the children, and as well as the women. Yes. So the demonstration given by a doctor clearly tells everything. Yes. And I think there is no need for us to buttress on it, because this is a learning point for everyone, all the viewers, and as well as everyone who is present here. Correct. That is to say that if you look at the act itself, the act on the male is different from the act or the practice done on the female. Yes. And even though the consent on the side of the male sometimes is mostly sought, and it's granted, but on the side of the female, it is done when, in most cases, in fact, there is this UN report when they made the research, and it was established that most of the people, most of the children who undergo FGM were done at the age of 6 months. So therefore, where is the capacity to give consent? Yeah, in essence, those things were done without their consent, because at that time they don't reach the age where they can decide for themselves. Yes. It is a point that they capitalize. This is why the act came to make sure those areas are being addressed very well. Very well. Because at that time they cannot decide. Very but well. The matured people who can decide, that is why the act is brought, for them not to take the risk and get those ones in. Very well. As you just said, but I have this one, doctor, due to your time schedule, I would have really loved for Kausu to elaborate more, because he's giving very significant points that I and others can learn from, and those seated at home following online. Very well. But because you are a very busy man, your schedule is very tight, and your voice is needed on this, just to ask a last question before you leave. As I know, your knowledge is like an ozone when it comes to the medical field. There is no limitation. Everyone can fetch from your knowledge, and still now the ozone will be flowing. But this last point, medically, as an expert, what impact or implication do you think the FGM have on women and girls?
Thank you very much. The FGM, as we said, is a harmful practice. I will just list some of the harms that it can cause in women. Number one, it causes women to lose the most sensitive part of their that helps them in their sexual function, the most sensitive part. As you know, God has created us and given us some things so that we can get some pleasure from it. Right. Number one, if we eat food, we get pleasure. Right. So anybody who does something to me that I can no longer eat food and get pleasure from it, that person is violating my rights to enjoy food. The same way, God has given us sexual intercourse and made it enjoyable for us. So if you are doing anything to a woman to reduce that that enjoyment that God has given them, then that is also violating their right. And doing female genital mutilation, one of the things it does is that, now if somebody says that my grandfather, great-grandfather, grandmother, great-great-grandmother, they all had it, and you were born in that. That is usually the argument that many people, we were all born in that. And but then, how many mothers will come to their children and talk about their sexual function? It's very difficult to talk about that. So no woman, even though you're suffering it in silence, you will not know about it. And some people, because it was done in their childhood, they don't know what what is that enjoyment itself? So they never knew that this is possible. I can give an example. Before I started wearing glasses, I was watching TV one day with my family. My sister was there. She was wearing glasses. And just for fun, I said, let me put on your glasses. I was watching TV. I was satisfied with what I was watching. It was looking good to me.
Exactly.
When I put the glasses on, the whole world became different.
Very well.
The TV was much clearer.
Wow.
I could see colors that I was not seeing before.
Exactly.
I said, what?
Sure.
I have been living like this for so many months without knowing that I have lost something.
Exactly.
So these women, some of them don't even know what they have lost. So some of the women who have lost what they have lost, they don't even know what they have lost. So this is just one of the aspects. The other aspect is that the conditions in which these mutilations are done are very bad conditions. So and uncontrolled conditions. That is a very bloody area. It's an area where a lot of blood comes on. So sometimes these women are caught and they lose a lot of blood, and some people can die there just the amount of blood that they have used. The discussion I had with the parliamentarians, I showed them a picture of somebody who had bled so much. It's just like you've slaughtered a ram, and then the amount of blood that you see that amount of blood there. Then this person can die. That is in the immediate part. The other thing is that because of those conditions, they can get some infections they were not supposed to get. One of them is tetanus. Some people get tetanus and all that stuff. The other thing is that because they don't know what they are cutting, they may cut something even very vital, like the urinary pipe. I have had a situation in which somebody was cut, and the whole urinary pipe was also cut because it is near there. And that woman could not pass urine at all. So they came to me to do some reconstructive surgery so that she can pass urine again. If somebody who could not do reconstructive surgery was not there, this woman could have died also from this. Then the scarring that goes on for the long term, they have a lot of scarring there. That is why a lot of our women find it difficult to deliver. Delivery becomes a difficulty. That poses a risk to the mother. The mother can die from that delivery. That poses a risk to the baby, because if the delivery, the labor is prolonged, the baby can die. These are just some of the adverse effects. And also remember that most of these things are done without any anesthesia. So you're cutting somebody's skin, you're cutting somebody's body without anything to prevent pain from that person. I think, as mentioned by Barrister, this is inhumane. It is totally inhumane. It is not in human nature to be regularly exposing our children, our women to pain and to something that is entirely unnecessary. What we're saying is that even if it wasn't necessary, if you're doing something to treat a disease, then maybe you can go far to treat that disease. But you're doing something that is entirely necessary. I am trying to peel an apple, and I cut my hand in peeling that apple. Then I have done something crazy, because I am trying to do something that is useless, and I harm myself doing something that is useless. So this is I think something that we can take home on FGM.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ja. Viewers, we all heard what the experts said. This is why I said experts are gathered on this panel in a sense that to raise awareness, to sensitize people on the danger of this FGM. Because if you are not given the correct information by the right people, you will always be misinformed, needed to be misled. And it's their responsibility. The only time they have to relay this message is coming to the media by giving you awareness. What he said is the fact. He's an expert with experience. The information is clear. The decision is yours, either to take it or not to take it. But he played his part as a doctor, and I believe experts' advice should be taken for the benefit of the doubt. We will go for a short commercial break, and we will be back again.
Thank you.
Welcome back, viewers. As you know, it is a program, as I mentioned earlier, which is very important, and the topic is the impact of FGM, which is female genital mutilation. It is a panel that comprises experts and people who have the knowledge and the clue of FGM and their experience. As they said, one can buy everything in the world except experience, and nothing is permanent in the world other than change. Change is the only thing which is permanent in life. Just to again reintroduce my people, on my right this time, you still have the same barrister Kausu Bojang. Yeah. Then on my left, you have Pa Sambanyang, who is a Gamkotrap advocate. Then on my far left still, you have Madam Ajwa, who is from Gamkotrap. Madam Ajwa, Gamkotrap, as we know, it's still a leading NGO to the fight against FGM. As I said earlier, it is only determination that makes you win your fight. And you are not just fighting for the sake of your individual or your institutional idea. You are fighting with a reference about the law. This is why whenever you talk about the end to FGM and the fight, you always reference your topic or discussions on the amendment bill. So far, what success did the Gamkotrap register on dropping of the knife?
Okay, thank you very much. Like I initially said, Gamkotrap has been on this fight for more than 40 years now. And some of us are not even born, yes. But it has been a non-stop fight. And with people who are also, people who had passion for the rights of women, because some of them were victims themselves. Like Doctor is a victim herself, and then she knows what it is to have undergone FGM. Yeah. And then also the men who we are part of them also have passion. They are women or gender lens sensitive, and they know what it is to have a human right or to have your right to do something. And so the fight became like can I use a do or die or something like that?
Yeah, sure. This opinion is yours. So,
yes. Why I say a do or die? Because they saw a need to make sure that women exercise their rights enough, their sexual reproductive health rights, their political rights, and their socio-economic rights. You understand? So for a while now, we have been hearing Gambia has a very beautiful policy, beautiful structures and all that, but the next thing you hear is they just lack implementation. So for years, Gambia was part of the countries that has beautiful policies but not implemented. So this particular intervention that came last year was not a success for just Gamkotrap, it was for Gambia. And somehow I was really hoping that we are going to all grab it with two hands and celebrate, because it has moved us into another tier. Okay, for the issue of dropping of the knife, we have successfully implemented 7 dropping of the knives. Dropping of the knives is, we have this set of ex-circumcisers who are trained. They go through a whole module, 2 years module of training to be exposed to the impact of FGM, physical, mental, all forms of FGM. And through these 2 years, we allow they themselves to come out openly to whether to agree with what we are saying or to refuse. None of them is forced. After the 2 years, we now have the celebration for them. We call it dropping of the knife, which is nationally celebrated. Okay. So during that, you have the celebration is done in the presence of the imam, is done in the presence of the government and the people, to know that these people have dropped the knife, have understood that FGM is bad for women, and they have dropped it. They will no longer practice it, and they come and declare. Then they are given also an opportunity cost. That is also another let me say, a support. Sure. Because the FGM practice was like their own main source of income. Mm-hmm. So if you are taking somebody's source of income from the left hand, at least give something on the right hand so the person can sustain on it. Mm-hmm. So we have this What's the word to use? We have this activity that we take someone to go for analysis, to chat with them, to talk to them, for they themselves to come up with what they think, what kind of business they want. Some say they want farming, some say they want livestock. It just depends on them. And they are given funds based on what they said. And over the years, some of them have been able to sustain it, and this business has also been able to help them to help their families send their children to schools. Okay, so it's not like we just take the FGM from them. We also give them something as an alternative support. Okay, so through this means we have the 7 dropping of the life, like I said, and it has been very successful, and we are still working with these women. We now have the network of ex-circumcisers who are now advocating for FGM to be stopped, trying to bring in their other women, because whether we like it or not, secretly it's still happening. So they are the ones that are now advocating, not forcing people, but advocating with them, trying to sensitize them that what you are doing is not good. I have seen, I have known. So let us stop there. So we have that set of group. We also have the CBS, who are like a surveillance system in the regions, and they are also surveilling to see of any suspicious act of FGM in their communities. So we have registered a lot of achievements, and I can go on and on.
Thank you very much, Madam Ajua. You spoke well. It means, if I heard you well, the Gamco trap not just ask those people to drop the knife and fold their hands, in a sense that they drop the knife and you also boost them economically. Economically, in a sense that you create a job opportunity for them. How you create the job opportunity, I can say, is raising awareness by sensitizing people. And I believe if they raise awareness, or you hold a workshop about it, at least, no matter how little it is, 1 or 2 of them will have a take-home that will at least boost them a little, than just telling them drop the knife and you sit empty, and it will still again encourage them to go back to that. But the fight is on, and as you know, research shows Gambia is among the 10th highest countries who are practicing this FGM. We just hope and so that the fight will continue after 4 decades, and before we have the 5th decade, we will have the end of FGM in the Gambia here. Pa Samba, you are a Gamco trap advocate, and we see the children are the future leaders of this country, because if we want a very good country with intellectuals, with at least positive mind, the youths and the children has to be protected at their young age, protected, and you catch them young. As a Gamco trap advocate about this FGM, what is your personal idea of this FGM, which is the female genital mutilation?
Well, FGM is a traditional act where girls are deliberately circumcised, injured, or damaged for no medical reasons. It is also known as female circumcision or cutting. It is usually carried out on young girls under 15, most commonly before puberty starts.
Yes, that is a very good message, and it seems that I'm so happy that no matter how young you are, you have the clue of FGM, because you are not speculating. You are saying exactly what experts and what experienced people are talking about FGM. The other question I have for you, because you are a child that can relay a bigger message, in a sense that you are going to school, and the people you meet at school, you give them that information, awareness. The community, you give them that awareness. Today you have the opportunity to be on the media platform, on television. What message do you have for the general public about this FGM?
Our leaders should please use the law to protect our mothers, sisters, and the children in generation in our homeland, the Gambia. Thank
you. We heard what he said. He used the gentleman word. No matter how little he is, he used that word of request. He doesn't use the word of command by saying do this. He used the word of request by saying please. So I believe, as a child who is among the future leaders of this country tomorrow, their concerns should be considered, and their concerns should always be put into place to make sure they assist the youth, not to damage them, but to prepare them physically, mentally, towards their maturity age tomorrow, because the country will be lasting in their hands. And Barrister, we see in here holding the lawmakers accountable, who are the National Assembly members, voted by the public. The Act, and under the current law in the Gambia, all forms of female genital mutilation, FGM, are illegal under the Women's Amendment Act 2015. And with Section 32A and Section 32B of the Act, say it criminalizes and prescribing the punishment for performing, procuring, aiding and abetting the practice of FGM. What is your take on this?
Basically, I think the law is very clear.
Sure.
It's on the plain text. Yes. And even a layman in the street can read and understand the provisions of Section 32,
yes, 32A and 32B.
32A and B
Yes.
of the amended Women's Act of 2015.
Yeah.
So to hold the National Assembly members accountable, I'll begin from their capacities in that building. They are not there for themselves. They are there in a representative capacity.
Sure.
A representative capacity as in they represent a constituency.
Sure.
And the constituent would have to give them a voice. And then talking about the constituent or the people, we go back to the Constitution. The Constitution has the aspiration and the yearning of the people.
Sure.
So if the Constitution says
Sure.
that every human being, irrespective of race, sex, or gender, or whatsoever, must be accorded their fundamental right.
Sure.
And fundamental right herein includes right for their physical body to be protected from harm. So if we all agree to put that in the Constitution, then it means that that is representing the voice of the people.
Sure.
Now, the National Assembly members should accord themselves as per the Constitution, as per what their people are saying, and as per the principles embedded in the Women's Amendment Act of 2015.
Sure.
Their responsibility is to uphold the law,
Sure.
and not to go against it. And now, to repeal a law, an enactment, they have to put their, consider certain necessaries, or certain things. Specifically, okay, in repealing this law, what impact would it make on the people? Would it have any adverse impact?
Very well.
Would it have any effect on the young people, specifically the young children?
Sure.
Would it have any impact on the women? If the answer is in the affirmative, then repealing can be done. But if the answer is in the negative, then they should look otherwise. Herein it is very clear that the answers to that effect is in the negative.
Sure.
That repealing this would have greatly affected or would greatly affect the women and as well as the children. So therefore, I think they should make a U-turn, especially the one who brought the bill to have the said law repealed. So the person should make a U-turn on the fact that if this law is said to be repealed, then it's like you're exposing the women and the children to harm or to inhumane conduct, and as well as to violate the international instruments and as well as the domestic laws that were domesticated in the Gambia here. Because, like I said, we are signatories to so many conventions, starting from the Universal Declaration on Human and People's Rights, which, if you look at the context of Article 1, clearly stated that an act which goes to harm people, specifically, I'm bringing my own definition part, that is to say specifically on women and children, should not be encouraged by any person, i.e. should be discouraged. And you also have the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women. Like I said, the act itself is distinct and directed to women. So therefore, it's discriminatory. We also have the Convention on the Rights of Children. That convention too specifically tries to protect the interests and the rights of the children. So if you're bringing any act that is going to go or that is going to harm the interests and the rights of children, then it means that you're violating the convention, the said convention. You're violating the Universal Declaration. You're violating the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women. Now we come to the African Charter itself, that is the African terrain. We have the African Charter on Peoples and Human Rights. clearly, it's more like adopting the position of Article 1 of the Universal Declaration,
Sure.
which is that every human being should be accorded his or her fundamental human right, including women and children.
Yes, Mr. Bojang, you nailed it very well.
Thank you.
This is why I have this thing in mind. As you said, Gambia is a signatory to many of these conventions.
Very well.
But here, what are the possible implications of repealing the law on women, girls, and the Gambia, as we are a signatory to the international convention, among which we said the convention is to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women, in abbreviation, SRHR. The Convention of the Right of the Child and the Geneva Convention. What is your take on this, and what are the possible implications of this?
So having to be a signatory of a convention,
Yes,
it's more or less like making a declaration to undertake
very well.
or to agree to whatsoever is contained on that particular convention. So if you decide to go against it, then there are consequences to that effect.
Correct.
And one of the consequences to that effect may have you to be, you may be summoned by the international community, and then sanctions may be put in place or may be in place. So we understand that if the international law put a sanction in a particular country, specifically in the Gambia, then it will affect us both on the natural side and as well as the economic side of it. So natural side as in how do we interact with the other institutions or the other countries or states. And then economic wise, how are we going to survive as a country? Because this is going to affect the government as they made an undertaking to agree to the conduct as put in place in the conventions, as you made mention of them. And these conventions were not forced. It was the government, because the process of domesticating, when you ratify, we are not supposed to domesticate if we know that the law would not be in the interest of the people. But if you see the law to be domesticated, it means that there are positive effects on them. That is why they were domesticated to be laws of the Gambia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bojang. I wish we have a longer discussion, because it's an important topic that you can talk of the whole day and you cannot exhaust. As we talk about it, more ideas are coming, more issues are coming. But I'm happy that you are nailing the facts. Most of the problem in the Gambia here is, my individual perspective is, we have people who don't listen most, and the essence of communication is understanding. And we hardly have people who make a research or go and ask the appropriate authority. We have this, belief of hearsay or carrying rumors, instead knocking the right authority. This is why sometimes things are very difficult to regulate, because what they will have and what the fact is, there is a big difference. On your conclusion, due to time, what message do you have for the pro-FGM and the rest of the general public finally?
So my message to the people is that let's try by all means to avoid engaging in any act which is going to be harmful to our bodies. I am saying our bodies because if a woman is affected physically, then it should be adversely affected in the main people, especially the men who are in the leading force. Specifically here, I mean the National Assembly members and the people who are also engaging in such conduct in private or secretly. Because if we want to engage in this, it's like exposing the women and children. And if you expose the women and children, then it's like we're now bringing our country back forward. Instead of going forward, we're going backward. So basically, people should try by all means to be respectful of laws. Because when the law says let's criminalize an act, there are consequences to that effect. There are valid reasons why the law says this act should be criminalized. So therefore, every human being, specifically every citizen, should ensure that you respect the aspiration of the said law.
Thank you very much. Madam Ajwa, as GAMCOTRAP is among the leading NGOs and institutions in this Gambia to the fight to end FGM. You have been in the fight for more than 4 decades, not to start just today. What message do you have to the general public on the fight against FGM based on the very important message that we are raising here to the general public?
Okay, I work with GAMCOTRAP, but I can say I'm here today not just for GAMCOTRAP, but the entire CSO's bodies and international partners and anyone that is fighting for fighting against FGM or to eradicate FGM in the Gambia. I want to advise all of us to get involved. Women, men, let's be positive and be gender sensitive. For women who are like, oh, it's not my business because I do not practice FGM, I'm not affected and all this, that you are staying away. I want to advise you that if this one does not affect you and the law is being repealed, successfully repealed, there will be subsequent laws that will be challenged to be repealed that will affect you. Because looking at how things are going, it's challenging women's rights, women's sexual and reproductive health rights. This is suppressing them, trying to control their personality. The next will be, let's challenge the age that we want them to get married. Let's try and marry. The next will be, let's challenge where they walk, how they walk, when they walk. Our freedom. A lot of things are going to be challenged. So if we all sit back to say that, oh, this one does not affect me, so let them fight their fight, or they are just there to make, they are just making noise and all that, please, let us come out, let's speak out. For those who are afraid, speak out, we are all with you. Women in the province, I just wish I can speak the local language to make sure that they also get it. Women in the typical rural areas, CSOs, NGOs, let's go into these areas and encourage them that we are with them. Let them come out, let them speak out, let their voices be heard, so that on the 24th, their voices will make a great impact at the National Assembly, and it will actually cause them to make the right decision that will impact the life of women and children in the Gambia for the future generation. And let's not forget that if this law is touched, Gambia is greatly touched, because we are, like the lawyer said, we are signatory to other international conventions that will bring consequence to the Gambia. So let's not sit down and say, Lika, it's not my problem. It is our problem. Man, woman, father, they are your wives, your sisters, your future leaders. So I want everyone to come out and let's join the fight.
Thank you very much, Madam Adwa, and I can say thank you very much, Barrister Bojang, for coming, and a big thank also to Pa Sambayang. As you know, GAMCOTRAP have break the silence of this taboo of not speaking about FGM. Since their intervention, that taboo is out. People can now come in public to speak about this FGM in a professional manner. It is an achievement that GAMCOTRAP also have registered, because there were times that it was a big taboo to talk about this FGM in the Gambia. But thanks to GAMCOTRAP by breaking that taboo. And this is all what we have for you today. Thanks for watching. It comes your way anytime soon. Bye-bye for now.